Stu and I are here on our cruise, and something happened a couple of days ago that really highlighted some principles that I love to teach. So we're utilizing this opportunity to reenact what occurred to offer you an opportunity to learn a little bit more. So a couple days ago, we were out diving, and when we came back, Stu had a real pain in the area between his neck and his shoulder, and he wanted a massage. And I'm all game to give Stu a massage, but I also wanted to be sure that what we were resolving was the problem that is, and not the problem that isn't. So here we're going to reenact what I actually did to help him relieve a lot of the pain and the pressure that was up in that area. Now, the first thing is we need to understand the act of scuba diving. And scuba diving is kind of funky because we've got a lot of gear on. There's something called the BCD, which is what holds on to the scuba tank. And the scuba tank isn't entirely light. It's a little cumbersome to get on. Plus, you have to put on your fins and then waddle yourself over towards the edge of the boat and then jump in. And then there's a getting up off the ladder back into the boat, and it can be quite awkward. And so because of that awkwardness, weird movement patterns can occur and tension and pain can arise. So when you think about that movement, it's not surprising that this pain and tension showed up for Stu. So we were here in the stateroom exploring the blade movement as it related to this area of tension and as it related to the act of scuba diving, and before getting into the water and as well as coming out of the water. And I asked Stu to very, very specifically raise his blade up or elevate his blade. And what was interesting is he could not do it. What he did instead of actually moving the blade, he dropped his ear towards his shoulder. Then I said, okay, I want you to do that again, but don't move your head. So then what he did is he actually side bended. Instead, I thought, okay, this isn't working. Okay, I need you to not move your head and to not side bend. So then what he ended up doing is he ended up twisting his body. So it became quite clear that he was having some trouble with his shoulder blade. So then what we started to play with is let's do some retraction or pulling the blades toward the spine. And he actually had that quite nicely. So he was able to retract and protract very, very simply. So then I wanted to get more specific in helping him get better movement of his blade. So I asked him just to go very, very gently to move his blade up, and a very, very small movement, only what was available. And then I wanted to connect it with some internal rotation of his humerus or his arm bone. So I asked him to bring it up and then to very gently bring it forward. You can see how the blade's doing a little bit of protraction as well, the movement that he easily had. Okay, and so he was able to do it for the most part. This is a pretty good movement. When he would compensate, though, this is how he compensated. He would move it forward and then also add a twist. And then when he came back, he would side bend down through this part of his body. So we'll demonstrate that. So he twisted, and then as he came back, he side bended down. So he got all into these muscles between his ribs and his pelvis, as well as throwing in a rotation. So I very specifically held right around the bottom of his shoulder blade so that he could feel the blade being able to lift and then to start to rotate, and then you could see how I'm putting pressure in and around where the blade is. That when he came down, I said, just drop there. Use this area here. Don't get all involved with a twist or a side bend, and just very specifically bring this down. Yeah? And he was able to get it. What was interesting is after about 6 or 7 repetitions, all of this dissolved and he felt it much more free and much softer. And this continued through the evening as well as into the next day. It was a lot more noticeably relaxed, and his back felt better, and he was just a little bit easier in his movement. So a couple principles here that I really wanted to highlight. The first is be sure that when you are working with someone to help relieve some strain and the pain, is think about the problem that is versus the problem that isn't, and explore those compensatory movements and quiet those down and help to foster the pure motion that should be. So we want to make sure that we're resolving the problem that is and cultivating more effective and more efficient movement patterns. Explore that, play with that. Have a great day.